Have you ever scrolled through your feed only to feel a sudden, cold wave of emptiness washed over you? You see their perfect vacations, their promotions, and their joy, while your own life feels incredibly gray. This is the anatomy of envy, a silent, destructive force that hollows you out from the very inside. Meet Chloe. She's an incredibly talented illustrator who rarely shares her work because she is paralyzed.
She believes that everyone else holds a secret map to happiness that she somehow completely missed.
But beneath the jealous glance, Chloe is deeply inspired, but she is trapped by the fear of never measuring up. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why settle for a life that is spent as a silent spectator of others? The truth is, envy is often just a very sophisticated and clever form of misdirected admiration. It's a way to feel incomplete and less than, while avoiding the scary work of building your own path. If my focus is entirely on their finish line, I can avoid the terrifying vulnerability of my own starting point. Maybe you grew up thinking that life was a zero-sum game with only a finite amount of success available. You were the child who learned that someone else's A grade meant your own achievements were worthless. So you became an expert at monitoring others, which unfortunately means you are neglecting your own garden. But you must remember that someone else's beautiful garden does not make your own soil any less fertile. You attract jealousy from afar, but never actual progress, spending your energy dissecting their journey. And when they eventually find even greater success and walk away, you are left hollow, holding nothing but judgment. The envy cycle is a cruel trap where the hero always ends up as their own resentful prisoner. You spend your life waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect approval, and the perfect talent. But here is the real secret. The perfect moment is just a ghost that you can never actually catch. Envy makes you feel small and poor because you are always looking at what you lack, never at what you have. She doesn't realize that by holding the comparison so tightly, she's preventing herself from ever starting. When you only look at the end result, you rob yourself of the messy, vital journey required to get there. You make your own potential distant and cold, and in doing so, you become a prisoner of your envy. Your identity becomes so tied to being the undiscovered one that you fear the simple reality of being a beginner. Who am I if I'm not uniquely successful? You ask yourself while staring at the screen at 4 a.m. The answer is terrifying because a beginner feels average, replaceable, and somehow deeply unlovable. But that version of you, the one with the blank page and the hesitant start, is the one that truly needs help. The envious needs to be saved from the constant heavy exhaustion of maintaining their own resentment. Look closely at the success you envy. Did they ask for your attention, or did you volunteer? Often, we invade our own time with envy just to feel a fleeting sense of control we lack elsewhere. It's a dynamic against ourselves, disguised as awareness, a way to keep the world quiet. But success isn't a zero-sum puzzle. It's an experience to be built and shared, even if it starts small. Chloe finally stops scrolling. She looks at her own sketchpad and realizes it's not a blank emptiness anymore. The moment she lets go of the need to be better than them, the entire world finally begins to breathe. Setting a boundary for your focus isn't an act of limitation, it's an act of profound self-respect.
You cannot grow your own dreams with fertilizer that you've only ever used to criticize someone else's harvest.
It's time to take all that dissecting energy and turn it inward, directly toward your own deep longing. Imagine what would happen if you treated your limited focus with the same respect you give your envy. Imagine working on your first good enough piece purely for your own joy, without feeling any heavy guilt.
Chloe starts to nurture the tiny sprouts of her own creativity instead of criticizing a mature tree. She learns that she is allowed to be in progress and still be completely worthy of sharing.
The road to financial and emotional recovery always starts with creating, the brave act of beginning your own work. Let your journey be messy and flawed. Let it be purely human. Let it be truly yours.
Your job is to be a creator, not a silent critic, a participant, not a resentment curator.
The more you create flawed work, the less you feel the desperate need to monitor their progress.
Authentic success happens between two creators who are both in progress, not between a spectator and a performer.
Chloe finally starts drawing, and for the first time, she feels light enough to actually enjoy the process.
She realizes that she was never a resentful spectator. She was just a woman hiding behind her standards.
And that is perfectly okay. Being functional is enough. You don't need a masterpiece to be valuable.
We are all beautiful works in progress, navigating a complex world that rarely makes any total sense.
Leo's Notes is about finding the internal courage to start the version that still needs a lot of work.
I'm just a guy who used to dissect a lot of things that weren't mine to hold. I learned that the most important thing to fix is the destructive habit of never showing up. The journey from being flawless to being finished is the hardest one you will ever have to take. But on the other side, there is a peace that no perfect score could ever hope to provide. Next time you feel that urge to dissect someone else's success, just stop and pause. Ask yourself, am I helping my work, or am I just running away from my own silence? Stay functional to your mind, but keep your own hands on your own heavy steering wheel. You are a creator, not a solution. You are absolutely enough, just as you are right now. This was Leo's Notes. I'll see you in the next one.